Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hatha Yoga. Today, I'd like to ask you to start standing up. We haven't done this in quite a while. Oh, there she is. So we're going to start standing up today, a little different than usual. And we talked about the value of shaking, right? Like just literally shaking in terms of just sort of cleansing our energy and releasing any stress impulses that might be residing in the physical body, energy body. So I'm going to set the timer, and I would love for you to just take a moment to shake in any way. So 1 minute. Ready? Go. Make any sound as you're shaking. Bounce through the heels. We practice that in Qigong. A little wiggle through the pelvis. Wake up the belly. What needs to shake a little more today that might be feeling a little stagnant? Is it the spine? Is it the jaw? No right or wrong, just ask your body what needs to shake. Make any sound. And just bringing into that quality of surrender that we've been talking so much about this week. Surrender, what does that feel like to surrender? Self-judgment in your movement, or surrender rigidity in the body, or surrender expectation of how practice of yoga needs to be. All right, that was 1 minute. Please come on down to your knees, and we're going to do something quite the opposite. Coming down, lying onto your belly. So here, as you come down to your belly with your legs straight back, setting your forehead perhaps on a folded blanket so that your nose doesn't get squished and you can breathe easily. And then just extending your arms forward like superhuman, pointing your toes back. And then as your elbows are aligned, your shoulders width apart, whether on the ground or an elevated prop like a blanket, bring your forearms off the floor so your palms face each other. Let your fingertips come together almost like a prayer position. And take a moment to rotate your triceps, the outer sides of your upper arms towards the ground. So you can feel a broadening of space across the tops of your shoulders. And as you lower your forehead down onto that blanket or the floor, tracing your thumbs down the back of your skull, towards the back of your neck, welcoming even more feeling tone of surrendering in your neck, in your shoulders, areas that we can, as humans, bear a lot of tension, especially in our modern Western society of zooming a lot on the computer for work these days. And then as you begin to embrace stillness, perhaps even turning your gaze inward, closing your eyes, feeling your own heart sinking towards Earth, Mother, underneath. Can you feel that stability and support beneath your body as you begin this practice of tuning in, connecting inward and outward? Invite some deeper breaths in, really just taking your time to feel where that breath travels. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. We've been talking throughout this week about the second limb of yoga, and the last or fifth component of it is this practice of devotional surrender. In Sanskrit, it's called Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara means personal God, whatever God means to you. And Pranidhana means to dedicate, devote, or surrender. Can you feel that devotional surrender tone in this physical position of your body right now? Let's take one more deep inhalation. Let the breath fill up to the bottom of your stomach, into your pelvic bowl, and rise up to your heart center, to your sternum, to your collarbone. Opening your mouth, maybe creating another sound. And then now, setting that prop aside if you're leaning your elbows on it, we're going to lower the right ear to the ground. Slide your right arm straight open to the right side as the palm faces down in the earth. Placing your left hand on the floor just beside your left shoulder, begin to press the floor away with it so that you can gently roll onto your right side, leaning some weight into the front of your right shoulder as you gently open it up. Take a moment to walk your right shoulder blade further down your back, opening up space in the right side of your neck. And as we're here for about 10 slow breaths, maybe now just breathing through the nose to help your body warm up, you might explore leaning further back, like stepping your left foot behind you on the ground outside of your mat. So an article written by Sophie Dilloff on Ishvara Pranidhana, she says that the practice of Ishvara Pranidhana means that if we are able to completely surrender our individual ego identities to God or our own higher self, we will attain the identity of God. That is our higher self. If we can dedicate our lives to serving the God that dwells within all other beings, human and non-human alike, we will move beyond all feelings of separateness. And so to redirect our energy away from selfish desires or personal dramas and towards the ultimate pursuit of oneness. Let's take another deep breath here. And again, exhaling long. Slowly beginning to switch sides, lower your belly to the floor again, come back to that more neutral position of lying face down. And just take your time, observe what might feel a little different since you've done the right side of your shoulders. Then as you're ready, slide your left arm out to the left, palm face down in the earth, pressing the ground away with your right hand beside your right shoulder, and gently roll over to your left side, and know that one side might need a little different intensity than the other. Listen in on how your body is guiding you through its sensations. Melt your left shoulder blade further down your back. Perhaps explore stepping right foot behind the side of your mat. Remembering that this is your practice, I'm merely sort of a tour guide in it, offering you areas where you might pay more attention, where you might add or subtract something. But ultimately, you are the teacher of your practice here and the student. So in our modern Western culture, Sophie says, where feelings of separateness and disconnection prevail, oftentimes we can pride ourselves on being strong and domineering over others. We are used to our egos calling the shots and giving us the belief that we are somehow in control of the universe. And because of this, the idea of surrendering is often taken to mean something negative, as if it implies a sort of weakness or defeat. But in yoga, victory is attained as we willingly surrender our limited idea of who we are. That is our name, our jobs, our problems, etc., and create the space needed to feel our true nature of self, which is one of limitless and boundless joy. A few more deep breaths on this side. She also says that in yoga, with each bending posture, we can feel the essence of bowing down to our idea of God in some form. And with each back bending posture, as we lift the chest, we can offer up our hearts so that we carry out the will of the universe with every thought, word, and action we take. One more deep breath. And then gently roll onto your stomach again, lying face down, and just pause there for a few breaths, noticing anything that may have shifted or not, just through those two postures. And as you're ready, placing your hands alongside your floating ribs on the floor, glide back into child's pose, sinking your pelvis to your heels, knees together or apart on the ground, inner edges of your feet touching. And as you reach your arms forward more actively here, let your elbows rise away from the floor. Again, find that broadening of space across the tops of your shoulders by rotating your triceps or outer upper arms towards the earth. Allowing any kind of movement here to feel space throughout your torso, like reaching left hand further forward, feeling the left side body lengthen, or reaching the right hand further forward, vice versa. Know that anytime you need to be still and rest, here's one offering of a resting pose, child's pose, or balasana. You can take it anytime. Then planting your fingertips alongside your outer knees. Drop your chin towards your chest. And with a slow inhale, roll your spine upright, stacking one vertebra at a time, lifting your head last. So please find a comfortable seat. Grounding your left and right sitting bones. Tall spine. Open heart space as you join your palm. This gesture of perhaps both giving and receiving through your voices as a take a deep breath. Comes to your belly, closing your lips, breathe into your belly. Closing your lips, breathe. Let your belly hollow, draw in towards your spine. Inhale, belly expands. Your shoulders emptied, tension. Move into a quicker pace called Kapalabhati, which is related to breath, also called breath of fire. It stokes Agni, digestive fire, fire of purification, of transformation, and it gets us into our bodies and into our energetic presence. There's also a physical act. You're not new to breath of fire. You don't need to feel it. You can have your arm at about no sound. Testing, testing. Can you hear me now? Hello, hello. Okay. Still now? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for telling me. Feel free to unmute yourself if something happens. Sometimes I have my eyes closed. So arms straight up, 60-degree angles, thumbs stretching towards the sky, all the other fingers curling in. You want to feel an active stretch happening between your thumb and index fingers. And this is actually from Kundalini Yoga. And it's called Ego Eradicator Kriya. Pretty strong name. Just get us out of our minds. And the breath of fire is like this. So mouth is closed, and it's a quick pace. It's like you're blowing your nose quickly. Should feel some engagement in the belly. The belly bounces in towards the spine with each breath out. There's a percussive style to the breath. All right, so I'm going to set the timer now for 1 minute. Ready? Begin. If you have to start and continue again, it's okay. Just try to find a steady pace. Doesn't have to be too fast. We're halfway through the minute. Spine tall, shoulders relaxed, face soft. Take a deep breath in, hold your breath, lift your pelvic floor, draw navel in and up, bring your thumbs together to touch overhead if your arms are raised. And then with eyes still closed, exhale, bring the palms out to your sides, face down, and land them gently on your lap. And just pause a moment to observe any effects of that here. Breath work is such an important aspect of yoga in that it helps to bridge our conscious mind with our unconscious mind, our inner and outer being. Let's begin to use Ujjayi Pranayama, closing the lips and sustaining your breath in through the nose, awfully narrowing the back of your throat. So as you sustain the exhale through the nose, you create a gentle whispering sound. Lengthening your breath equally in and out. We're going to use this pace to move the body with. So listening to that subtle sound in your breath and keeping it balanced. Gently flutter your eyes open. And let's come down to all fours, hands and knees. So setting up for a few cat-cows, set your knees a couple inches behind your hips. Set your wrists just beneath your shoulders. Let's give the inner sides of your wrists and forearms a stretch by spinning out your hands so that your fingertips point either at the outer edges or the rear edge of your mat. Now on your next inhale, glide your chest through your upper arms, coiling it up as you gaze towards the sun. Exhale, hollow your belly to rise. Tuck your tailbone, drop your skull towards the earth. Again, inhale, lengthen, chest forward. Peel your shoulders behind you and down, cow pose. Exhale, contract your abdomen, doming your back, cat pose. And take another 3 or so more cycles of breath, your own pace. So later, as we move through what's called vinyasas, which includes coming into plank pose, into cobra or upward dog, you could opt to take this variation, cat-cow, instead, anytime you want to change it up. On an exhale, relax to a neutral spine. Spin your index fingers to face forward so they're parallel to each other. Root down through the base of your thumb and index finger. Tuck your toes behind you, feet hips width apart. And with knees generously bent, lift your sitting bones as high as you can, as far away from your hands as you can, downward facing dog. Now give yourself the first few breaths here to shift around any way you may need. I like to pedal my feet in place, warm up my hamstrings and calves, perhaps even add swiveling your hips left and right, stretching the sides of your waist, or loosening the neck by gently moving your skull. Listening to your own breath pace you. Let's begin to hold still in a few breaths of downward dog, separating your feet apart, parallel hips distance. Bend your knees, lift your hips high again, as high as you can. Bring the energy into your palms as if you're pushing the mat forward and down into the earth. Feeling the most length of somewhat of a flat back. Drawing navel in, lifting shoulders back, and wrapping your triceps downward towards the mat. Feel your heels become heavier and heavier. Now you might keep your knees bent, especially in the beginning, so that you're not rounding your back. And steady your eyes towards your feet. 2 last breaths here. And begin to walk your feet to the top of your mat, standing in a forward fold, just draping your torso over your legs, feet apart still, parallel. Bend your knees so much that your belly could rest on your thighs. Perhaps catching hold of opposite elbows and swaying your spine side to side, helping to release any feelings of stagnancy in your neck. If your arms are crossed, switch the elbow on top. Can you also lift your shoulders up away from your neck while letting your skull drop? And then bending your knees again, reach your hands behind you. Either grab a strap to hold between your hands or clasp your fingers. Shifting a little more weight towards your toes. Draw your navel in. Inhale, lift your chest and lengthen forward. Exhale as you fold a little deeper. Let your head go, stretching your arms forward away from your lower back. Shoulders rising away from your ears. Maybe even a little movement of your skull, just a couple more breaths. Further opening your heart space. And then release your arms. With knees very bent, inhale, begin to roll your spine upright, restacking one vertebra at a time. So as you lift your skull, you can shrug your shoulders. And with a big exhale through the mouth, roll your shoulders back and down. Palms facing forward, mountain pose. Inhale, circle your arms up towards the sky. A gesture of honoring and reverence. Exhale, bow in. Press your fingertips on the ground ahead or your blocks or shins. Inhale, lift your heart, expand it forward. Exhale, fold a little deeper. Root down to your soles. Inhale, rise tall. Watch your palms meet in this gesture of gratitude. Exhale, trace your thumbs towards your center line. Arms by your sides, mountain. Inhale, sweep your arms. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. We're going to change it up here. So place your hands on the ground or on blocks alongside your heels and step your left knee behind you into a kneeling lunge. Legs hips width apart, front knee bent just over the heel. Take a breath in and roll your shoulders back. Lift your gaze and heart and allow your tailbone to anchor slightly forward towards the floor. Another deep breath here. Now keep your right heel where it is. Lift your right toes as you flex the foot. And as you exhale, scissor your right outer hip back, straightening your right leg, whatever degree you can, to bow with a feeling of a flat back. Half split. Pausing here. Feel your belly lift in support of your back. And then again, inhale, rebend your right knee back to a kneeling lunge. This time, plant your hands on the earth, stepping into plank pose, top of a push-up. Let's pause here for a few breaths. Now, you could have your legs straight. You could set your knees on the ground for more support. Your choice. Is your wrists aligned right under your shoulders? Steady your eyes about a foot ahead of your hands on the floor. Lift your lower belly. Take another in-breath. As you exhale, glide your shoulders about a foot ahead of your wrists. Bend your elbows to frame your side ribs. Passing through Chaturanga Dandasana, come all the way down. Point your toes and press every toenail into the floor. Hug your elbows close to your sides. Inhale into a baby cobra pose, just lightly lifting your chest off the ground, softening your shoulders down. Exhale, lower chest and chin. Twice more, maybe coming up a little higher as you inhale. Coil your chest up, ground the tops of your feet. Exhale, release. Last one, cobra or upward facing dog. Stay for 3 breaths. Upward dog is where you lift your pelvis, if that's available for you, drawing the shoulders back so they stack over your wrists, but extending the chest forward and up. With an exhale, contract your belly to toe your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath here. Lifting from the inseam of your left leg. Inhale, raise left leg back. Rounding forward, bend your left knee towards your nose. Softly land your left foot just inside of your left hand. Lower your back knee, kneeling lunge. Fingertips on the floor or on blocks. As you inhale, coil your chest up, lifting your gaze. Draw your tailbone down and forward. Take another breath. Keep your left heel where it is. Lift your left toes as you flex the foot. Exhale, scissor left outer hip back towards straightening the leg as you fold. Another breath here. Inhale, rebend left knee over heel. Tuck your right toes, look forward. Exhale, step right foot forward, hips distance from left, forward fold. From down through your feet, inhale, sweep your arms apart to rise, to stand, palms meet. Exhale, trace your thumbs down your center line. Side 2, let's take it a little bit more continuous. 1 breath each movement. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press with your fingertips, lengthen halfway. Hands alongside heels. Exhale, right knee steps back, kneeling lunge. Inhale, coil your chest up here. Exhale, scissor left hip back, straightening left leg as you flex the toes. Inhale, rebend left knee over the heel, coil your chest up. Hands flat on the earth. Exhale, step into your version of plank pose. Inhale and plank, draw navel towards spine. Exhale, glide forward, hug your elbows towards your ribs, lower into cobra or upward facing dog as you take a deep breath. Exhale, draw your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Pause 1 cycle of breath. Lifting from the inseam, inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, round forward through plank, bending knee towards nose. Step the right foot just inside of your right hand. Lower your back knee. Inhale, coil your chest up. Exhale, scissor right hip back, flexing right toes as you bow. Inhale, rebend your right knee. Coil your chest up. Exhale, step left foot forward, hips distance from the right, fold. From down through your feet, inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, trace your thumbs down your center line. Let's come to face the wide width of your mat. And then as you open your arms wide, step or jump your feet almost as wide apart as your wrists. You're gonna come into a wide-legged squat. So from your hip sockets, rotate your femurs to turn out so that the center of your knees point in the same direction as your middle toes. And then as you bend your knees, just take a moment to rock side to side. Loosen up your inner thighs, your groins. Slightly lift your frontal hip bones. So rather than that bowl shape of your pelvis spilling forward, it's a bit more upright, like it's sitting on a table. All right, this is a little heart-centered breath-led flow. So as you root down through your soles, bending your knees, start here. Inhale, straighten your legs and sweep your arms overhead, honoring the open sky above. Exhale, rebend your knees, palms moving down in front of you, honoring the earth below. Inhale, rise, sweep your hands towards your heart center, feeling that divine within. And then exhale, rebend the knees, expand your arms apart, acknowledging the divine around you. Again, inhale, arms towards sky. Exhale, earth below. Inhale up towards heart center. Exhale down, arms wide apart. Feel the energy of the gestures. Inhale, sky above. Exhale, earth below. Inhale towards your own heart center. Exhale, seeing that in the world. Last round, inhale, sky above. Exhale, earth below. Inhale, your heart center. Exhale, out into the world. So from here, straightening your legs, I'm going to mirror you. Turn out your left leg completely to face that left edge of your mat. Turn your right leg slightly inward, about 45 degrees, and align your left heel to intersect the arch of your right foot. Then bending your left knee to stack just over your left heel. Wrap your left glute, sitting bone underneath. Firm the top of your right thigh bone towards the wall behind you. And then open up your arms. Set your eyes on one spot, just past your left hand. Warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Let's take 5 deep breaths, noticing whatever you notice. Finishing this breath, straighten both of your legs, your feet in this wide stance. And let's take the other side. So turn out your right leg 90 degrees. Turn in your left leg 45 degrees. And line up your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. Bend your right knee to stack just over the ankle. Rotate your right outer hip underneath your body slightly, while firming the top of your left thigh bone back behind you. Open your arms, soften your shoulders, then steady your gaze just past your right hand. 5 cycles of breath. Then straightening your legs. Let's step up to the top of your mat. Bring your feet together to touch. We're going to move through another sun salutation. As we mentioned earlier this week, the salutations themselves could be felt like a moving prayer, like a dedication of your actions towards something important to you, something you might feel gratitude for, whatever is divine for you. So bring your feet together to touch. We'll set the route on the first round, and then on the second round, we'll move continuously 1 breath, each posture. So with feet touching, perhaps think about what you'd like to dedicate this round to of sun salutation B. Bending your knees to touch. Sink your weight towards your heels like you're sitting in a little chair way behind you. Perhaps even graze the floor with your fingertips, keeping your hips that low. And as you begin to reach your arms forward and up, just raise them to the height where your shoulders can still relax down. Glide your shin bones back enough so that if you look down, you could see your toes. And feel your front ribs hug your back body. Gazing forward, take one more in-breath in Utkatasana. Exhale, shift forward to fold, Uttanasana. Press down with your fingertips. Inhale, lift your chest forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Step back into plank, take cat-cow or a vinyasa. Gliding forward through Chaturanga Dandasana. Then inhaling to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, let's meet at downward facing dog. From there, keeping the height of your two hips leveled, lift from the inseam of your leg. Inhale, raise your right leg back. Rounding forward, bend your right knee towards your nose to quietly land the right foot just inside of your right hand. With your feet hips width apart, spin your back heel to the ground. Keep your hips facing forward. Press through your feet. And inhale, rise up to stand, arms overhead, warrior one. Let's be here for a few breaths. As you completely straighten your left leg, feel the outer left heel root into the earth. As you spiral your inner left thigh towards your rear wall. Bending your front knee right over the heel. Draw your right thigh bone deeper into the hip socket. Visualize the bowl shape that is your pelvis, upright, containing rather than spilling your center. With arms reaching high, soften your shoulders for one more breath. Virabhadrasana 1. Then on your next exhale, lower your palms to the floor in plank. Continue down into your vinyasa of choice. All the way through. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Once there, keeping your hips leveled, inhale, raise your left leg back. Rounding forward, exhale, quietly land left foot inside left hand. With feet hips width apart, spin back heel down. Hips facing forward, inhale to rise. Warrior one. Right away, settle your gaze on one spot. As we know that wandering eyes often indicates wandering mind. So know that not only through your breath and physical body, but through your gaze, you can steady your focus. Outer right heel pressing the earth. Right leg straight as you spiral inner right thigh towards your rear wall. Front knee bending right over ankle. Drawing left thigh bone back into the hip socket. Pelvic bowl, neutral upright. Long and spacious spine. Let's take another breath in. And exhale, ride the wave down into your choice of vinyasa, cat-cow, maybe resting in child's pose. You can opt to go straight to downward dog. This time at downward dog, 3 to 5 breaths. As you listen to the quality of your breathing, set the pace and the tone through it for our last round in a more continuous flow. Bending your knees, lift your heels and hips, look past your hands. On emptied breath, walk or float to the top of your mat. With feet touching, inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. With knees touching, inhale, sit low in chair pose, arms up. Root down to your soles and exhale, rise up, mountain pose. All right, same sequence. Now one breath each movement. Surya Namaskar B. Perhaps dedicating this round to someone or something. Next inhale, sit back, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, bow forward, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, rise halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or float into Chaturanga. Insert your own version of your vinyasa here. As you arrive in downward dog at your own pace, no rush. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, set it forward inside right hand, back heel down. Inhale, rise to stand, warrior one. Then ride the exhale down into your vinyasa. Keep going at your pace. Side two, when you arrive at downward dog, inhale, the left leg lifts. Follow through at your pace. We'll meet at the end of your vinyasa in downward facing. When you arrive in Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog, 3 to 5 breaths, slowing it down, paying attention to what comes up in your body and mind. When you're ready, at the end of an exhale, hold your breath out as you walk or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Knees together. Inhale, chair pose. Staying in chair this time. Keep your legs hugging your midline. Bend your elbows apart like a cactus shape as we prepare for eagle pose. Cross right elbow over left. Either give yourself a hug, hook your thumbs, or wrap your forearms in palms. See if you can sit a little lower. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Then turning out your left leg, flex your left foot off the floor to wrap your left leg as much as you can over the right. Some of you might tuck your left toes behind your right calf and scissor left hip slightly back. So whatever the variation you're in, feel your 2 frontal hip bones facing forward. See if you could sit a little lower as you steady your gaze and your breath. About 4 more cycles in Garudasana. Now think of a sense of freedom and surrender when a bird might take flight. The feeling tone of flying and spreading your wings. Take a deep inhale, lift your elbows a little higher, and as you exhale, unravel your arms and legs like open wings. And then step your left foot behind you. Come into a slightly shorter stance than we did when we were in Warrior One. So about 1 foot shorter stance. Have your 2 feet hips width apart. Now from here, you may want to grab a strap because we're going to open up the left shoulder. And if you feel tight there at all, a strap in your left hand might be useful. If you don't have a strap, it's okay. We can make do. So left arm to the sky. Use your right hand, rotating your left outer upper arm forward. Bend the elbow behind your skull and draw your 2 shoulder blades down your back. If you're like me and all of a sudden your front ribs want to pop forward, seal your front ribs inward and melt them towards your pubic bone. Reach your right hand underneath behind you. Grab the other end of the strap, or if no strap, hold your shirt with each hand and walk your hands as close together as you can. Some of you might be able to reach clasping your fingers together. Now feel your feet. Root them down as though they could go beyond the surface of the earth, really stable as you spread your toes. Energize your quadriceps. Energize your abdomen. Inhale, lift your chest, look up. With a feeling of a flat back, exhale, begin to hinge forward from your hips. Pause. Inhale, scissor, right outer hip slightly back, keeping your hips leveled. And then exhale, maybe fold a little more. Belly firming in towards your back. For a few more breaths, exploring the range of your pyramid pose. This forward fold. One more deep breath here in Parsvottanasana. Set your hands alongside your right ankle on the ground or on blocks. Inhale, lift your spine forward halfway up. Exhale, shift your weight entirely onto your right foot into Warrior Three, crawling your hands 1 foot ahead of your right toes. Lift from the inseam of your left leg until it's parallel to the floor behind you. Flexing your left foot, draw your navel in and extend your chest forward for a few more breaths. So here you're really taking flight. If you want to open your wings, feel free. If you want to extend your arms forward, feel free. Virabhadrasana 3. Join your hands to your heart center in prayer, lifting your torso, bend your left knee towards your chest, standing on one leg. And exhale, set your left foot to kiss the right. Arms by your sides, regrounding in mountain pose. Just a couple of breaths to digest that. As you hear that smooth, balanced rhythm of your breath again, bring your knees together, feet together, sit back into chair pose. Bend your elbows apart like a cactus shape and hook left elbow over right. Give yourself a tight hug or hook your thumbs or wrap your forearms and palms, melting your shoulders down. Lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders and gently press your forearms away from your face. See if you could sit a little lower, more grounding. Shift your weight onto your left foot. Turn out your right leg at the hip. As you flex your right foot, wrap the right leg over the left, perhaps tucking the toes behind your left calf, scissoring right hip slightly back. Visualize the area right below your belly button, your center. Can you imagine a warm light emanating from there, sort of like the sun, your own internal sun, your source of energy, of strength, of peace. With each breath expanding from your center, radiating to the ends of your body, to the space surrounding your body, as you feel your own source supporting you and giving back to the world around you. Last breath here. Now remember that feeling of freedom and flight, gifting that to yourself as you surrender to flow. Inhale, lift your elbows a little higher. Exhale, spread your wings. Step your right foot behind you. Feet are hips width apart. Slightly shorter stance than Warrior One. Back heel to the ground. With 2 hips facing forward, you may want to strap in your right hand to dangle behind your back. With your left hand, rotate your right tricep slightly forward. Draw your 2 shoulders down and bend right elbow behind your skull. Reach your left hand behind you underneath. Grab your shirt or the strap. Walk your hands as close together as you can, maybe clasping them. Root down through your feet and energize your legs and belly. Inhale, float your heart up. Exhale, just a little of your range. Bow from your hips. Inhale where you are. Pause, lengthen your spine. Square your hips. Exhale, maybe fold a little more. At your own pace, keep going. Bowing into yourself. Last breath here. Lower your hands to frame your left ankle on blocks or the floor. Inhale, lift your chest, look forward on the ground. Exhale, shift forward, lifting from the inseam of your right leg. Raise the right leg parallel to the floor as you flex the foot in Warrior Three. So visualize creating a horizontal line with your body from the top of your head through your tailbone, through your back, through your right leg. Play with any variations of your arms. Hands to heart center, wide open wings, arms reaching forward. Last 4 breaths. We're going to exit differently, landing the back foot to the floor way behind you so that you can rise up, pivot your feet to parallel in a wide-legged stance. And then bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, lift your heart, look up. Hinging from your hips, bow forward, lower your hands on blocks or the floor. Coming up halfway, inhale through the gates of your arms. Exhale, folding in. You decide if you want to add a spinal twist. Set one hand in front of you, raise the opposite arm and twist. Maybe 5 breaths on each side. Some of you might move into tripod headstand, where you plant your hands back and create a triangular base out of the crown of your head and the 2 heels of your palms, arms like Chaturanga Dandasana. And as you press the hands into the earth, you lift the shoulders to free up length in your neck. Whether stepping your knees on top of your upper arms like crow, or unraveling your legs straight up to create a vertical line, flexing your feet together. Whatever way you're bowing in or inverting, going upside down to shift your perspective. Let's take 5 last breaths where you are. And as both feet are on the earth again, rising halfway, lifting your spine parallel to the floor. Pause there for a few deep breaths. Heel toe your feet about hips distance apart. And then lower onto your knees. Coming into child's pose, Balasana. Whether you extend your arms forward or wrap your arms down by your thighs. Take a slow breath in and a longer exhale through your mouth. 2 more. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open the mouth. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time. Inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open mouth. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place your hands alongside your knees. Tuck your chin towards your chest and inhale, slowly roll your spine upright to sit. As you slide your legs in front of you, grab a block if you have one. And let's take the skinniest width to hug right in between your thighs. If you don't have a block, just imagine there's one there to space them. Feet parallel, about hips distance apart on the floor. Extend your arms forward, palms face up, shoulders relaxed. And with a long spine, begin to lower onto your back slowly. Breathe in. Breathe out. Once your skull meets the earth, bring your arms down by your sides to locate your feet by sliding your feet back until your fingertips could almost touch your heels. Just almost, but not. With your feet still parallel, your thighs firming into that block. Let's prepare for 1 round of bridge pose. So ground through the backs of your shoulders, tilt your chin back slightly away from your chest. As you press down through your feet, inhale, lift your pelvis. Keep breathing here, your own count of 5 to 10 breaths. Coming down when you're ready to on an exhale. See if you can walk your upper arms closer together under your back ribs. And as you keep your arms straight, if your hands meet, you might interlace your fingers. Activate your hamstrings. by bringing the energy into your legs as if you're dragging your heels towards your glutes without actually moving them. Contrast that with lengthening the fronts of your thighs forward. Feel your lungs fill up with vibrant life energy, prana. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose. When you decide to come down, release your hands, and with an exhale, kiss the earth one vertebra at a time. Nice. So once you've lowered, take your time. Put the block aside. Keep your knees bent. Separate your feet a little wider than hips distance apart. You might bring your arms out to the side so they're out of the way. Then drop your two knees over to the right. Knees are apart, feet are apart. And you can stay in this sort of open twist. Or if you want more sensation around the left side of your psoas, hip and lower back, pick up your right ankle, cross it just above your left knee on top of your left thigh. Now make sure that your left knee is pointing down the center line of your mat. You may need to scoot your left foot out to the left edge of your mat. And if still you're seeking more sensation, you can raise your arms overhead, bend each elbow, and catch hold of the opposite ones, softening your shoulders onto the ground. Let's take 5 more breaths here. One way to help deeply relax your nervous system is through abdominal breathing and really stretching the breath. Breathing into your stomach. At the end of your next exhalation, gently uncross your legs, set your feet on the ground again with knees bent. Feet a little wider than hips distance, knees just as wide apart as your feet. Then drop both knees to your left side. Point your right knee down the midline of your mat. And if you want more sensation in the right side of your hip and lower back, cross left ankle on top of right thigh. And you might even switch, holding the other elbow on top overhead as you relax your arms back. 5 deep abdominal breaths. And like we did earlier, you could also help your body cool off by exhaling through your mouth, releasing heat through your mouth. And when you finish your next out breath, unravel your arms and legs. Draw your bent knees together into your chest. Give yourself a huge thank you embrace. And really mean it as you drink up one more deep inhalation. Maybe even lifting your head and shoulders and hugging yourself a little tighter. Hold the breath in. See if you could sip in a little more air. And with a big sigh through your mouth, release your arms and legs. Display out. Take up space. Closing your eyes. Drop your attention deeper inward. We'll lie here to rest for a few minutes in corpse pose or shavasana. Now, you might choose to stay in Shavasana longer, or if you'd like to join me sitting in 5 minutes of silent meditation to close our practice with. And keeping your eyes closed, gently let your body move in its own way out of stillness. Perhaps turning over to one side to lift your body upright into a comfortable seat. So before beginning our 5 minutes, those of you staying for meditation, it's not guided, but here's a suggestion if you want one, of something to focus on in line with our practice of devotional surrender. Perhaps think of the qualities of what you identify as divine, or God, or highest self. What is the most prominent quality that comes to mind? And whatever that quality, perhaps repeat this mantra by filling in the blank. May I be a conduit or a vessel of blank. So if the quality is love, may I be a conduit of love. And repeating that in your mind so it becomes your central focus. Just a suggestion. I'm going to set the timer now. Begin to expand your awareness from inner being to outer being, feeling your physical body meeting the surface below it. Perhaps taking a few deeper breaths as you join your palms to meet at heart center to close. So here's an hour or so of focusing on the practice of devotional surrender. How do we spill the practice to infuse throughout our daily lives, bringing meaning to everyday actions, everyday conversations? Let's close with one chant of Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.